Hello, my name is Arthur Yates. For the next few minutes, I would like to speak to you on Thomas Aquinas' 5 ways to prove the existence of God. Now, Thomas, I do not wish to speak on all 5 of his ways, but only upon the last 2. And those last 2 were the gradation and design. The others are very interesting, but only on these 2 will I be speaking to you at this time. Now, Thomas Aquinas was a Dominican friar and priest, notable as a scholastic theologian and philosopher. He is honored as a saint and doctor of the church in the Roman Catholic tradition. Aquinas lived at a critical junction of Western culture when the arrival of the Aristotelian corpus in Latin translation reopened the question of the relation between faith and reason, calling into question the modus vivendi that had obtained for centuries. This crisis flared up just as universities were being founded. Thomas, after an early studies at Monte Cassino, moved on to the University of Naples, where he met members of the new Dominican order. It was at Naples, too, that Thomas had his first extended contact with the new learning. When he joined the Dominican order, he went north to study with Albertus Magnus, author of a paraphrase of the Aristotelian corpus. Thomas completed his studies at the University of Paris, which had been formed out of the monastic schools on the left bank and the Cathedral School of Notre Dame. In 2 stints as a regent master, Thomas defended the mendicant orders and, of greater historical importance, countered both the Averroistic interpretations of Aristotle and the Franciscan tendency to reject Greek philosophy. The result was a new modus vivendi between faith and philosophy, which survived until the rise of the new physics. The Catholic Church has, over the centuries, regularly and consistently reaffirmed the central importance of Thomas' work for understanding his teachings concerning the Christian revelation, and his close textual commentaries on Aristotle represent a cultural resource which is now receiving increased recognition. The first part of the 5 ways to prove the existence of God that I wish to address is known as the argument for gradation, or in other words, the ontological argument. Thomas' arguments from gradation begins with the empirical observation of different degrees of goodness in different kinds of things in this world. Thus, this argument is actually a posteriori argument, and the conclusion is not claimed to follow with absolute certainty. Aquinas sets forth this argument on gradation, or the ontological argument, in this manner. Proposition 1, there are different degrees of goodness in different things. Proposition 2, there are different degrees of being in different things. The more being, the more goodness. The notion of the great chain of being is being presupposed. Proposition 3, for there to be degrees of being at all, there must be something which is being in the highest order. The conclusion, therefore, a being in the highest degree or perfect being exists. The 4th way is taken from the gradation to be found in things. Among beings, there are some more and some less good, true, noble, and the like. But more and less are predicated of different things according as they resemble in their different ways something which is the maximum. as a thing is said to be hotter according as it more nearly resembles that which is hottest. So that there is something which is truest, something best, something noblest, and consequently something which is uttermost being. For those things that are greatest in truth are greatest in being, as it is written in metaphor. 2. Now, the maximum in any genius is the cause of all that genius, as fire, which is the maximum heat, is the cause of all hot things. Therefore, there must also be something which is to all beings the cause of their being, goodness, and every other perfection. And this we call God. This was taken from his Summa Theologica. Thomas states that goodness is a quality of objects. His presupposition appears to make goodness a natural property like pleasure or evolutionary fitness. Instead, good seems to be an intentional or purposeful property of human beings. On a planet without human habitation, the values good and bad would have no meaning. He refers to the great chain of being from the notion of Jacob's ladder, where the rungs go from the materialistic world, rung by rung, through prayer, to union with God, as well as the notion of Homer's golden chair, linking the earth and the heavens. The great chain of being is a common theme in Western philosophy. Even John Locke, for example, in his essay speaks of the links in nature which ascend upward from us towards infinite perfection, as we see they gradually descend from us downwards. The great chain of being extends from unformed inorganic matter to man to God. For example, a rabbit is higher than a snake, and an angel is higher than a person. There is a movement to more form and complexity as one ascends up the chain, a natural round of gradated essences and purposes result in a unified moral continuum. Now, Thomas concludes this argument with this proposition. Proposition 1, all things are more or less perfect, more or less beautiful, etc. Proposition 2, but gradation of each perfection implies the existence of a being with a maximum degree of that perfection. Proposition 3, and we know that that which is greatest in truth is also greatest in wisdom, beauty, and all the other perfections. Conclusion, so there exists a maximally perfect being whom we call God. Now, the fifth argument that he uses is known as the argument from design. This is also commonly known as the teleological argument. Aquinas' argument from design begins with the empirical observation of the design and order of the universe. Hence, this argument is a posteriori argument, and the conclusion is not claimed to follow with absolute certainty. This argument is also termed, as I said, the teleological argument. Teleology is the study of purpose, ends, and goals in natural process. A teleological explanation accounts for natural processes in accordance with purposefully and directive principle. Thus, if Thomas' argument is correct, the degree of the truth of the conclusion should be capable to the conclusions of the findings of modern science. It is important to see that since no claim is made as to the certainty of the conclusion, but only as to its probability, the argument cannot be criticized on the grounds that the conclusion does not follow with absolute necessity. Also note that the concept of design involves the ability of human beings, either to grasp intellectually the order of things or to impose intellectual order on what is being observed. So Thomas Aquinas sets forth this argument of design with this proposition. Proposition 1, all things have an order or arrangement and work for an end. Again, note that the argument proceeds from empirical evidence of adaptation of ends to means of such natural processes as sensory organs, the food chain, the nitrogen cycle, the Krebs cycle, and so forth. Hence, Thomas' argument is a posteriori or inductive argument. Second proposition is the order of the universe cannot be explained by chance, but only by design and purpose. The third proposition, design and purpose are a product of intelligence. Therefore, the conclusion, nature is directed by a divine intelligence or a great designer. From this, we can see that the argument is inductive, meaning the premises support the conclusions, but do not make it indisputable. It uses information that is inferred by the world around us, which we understand usually using our senses. It is also a posteriori, meaning it is based primarily upon experience rather than reasoning. Aquinas uses an analogy that makes reference of an archer shooting an arrow in order to demonstrate the argument qua regularity. He shows that an arrow flying through the sky is nothing more than that without its purpose, given by the archer who fires it. The archer fired the arrow with the purpose of hitting the target. So this is its telos, or in purpose. In the same way, God created the universe with a telos in mind. That was for it to be beneficial and complexity and suited to our needs and the needs of those present within it. Now, Thomas closes this particular argument again with this proposition. Proposition 1, the universe has order, purpose, and regularity. Proposition 2, the complexity of the universe shows evidence of design. Proposition 3, such design implies a designer. The conclusion, therefore, the designer must be God. Can there be any doubt of the existence of this intelligent designer that is revealed as the creator God? My supporting documents, my supporting evidence or bibliography are these three. Thomas Aquinas in his Summa Theologica, and I used the shorter version, pages 58 through 64. St. Augustine, Neoplatonic argument from his Summa Theologica. The Five Ways, it is called, Book 8, chapters 5 through 12. And the final one was St. Anselm in his ontological argument found in the monologue, pages 887 and following. Quite a number of pages there demonstrating it. But these are the supporting documents for this argument presented to you on the 5 ways to prove the existence of God. Thank you for your time. May the Lord smile upon you and his grace abound to you. Good day.